It's Thursday night and the beards are back and we're dancing. Dancing!
Yeah, boy.
2023 off season. I am Sergeant Mayhem. With me, as always, is my man Monte Cristo and Big Smooth out on the patio. We outside tonight, kids.
Outside,
We're
man.
outside.
So nice. So nice.
Nice
Celebrating
night outside. How can you not
sexy
love it?
Dexy.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man. Guys, how are we doing today?
Fucking fantastic, dude. We finally have Giants news. The draft went great, man. I'm hyped.
Yeah, I mean,
What about
like,
you guys?
listen, I'm pumped. I'm about to take my shirt off because I'm not about to go full Bert Kreischer, but what I want to show you guys is I know Monty's got that shirt on. So I'm about to just show you. And if my headphones pop off, we'll come back to it. But you know what? Fuck it. Listen,
It's live, man.
This is what we're
happening
doing.
on these streets.
we in these streets.
Hot 97, baby. Hot 97.
Woo!
Talk to me.
He fucking signed, boys. We signed him.
Oh, by the way, that shit is live on my Twitter and Monty's Twitter. Buy these shirts because he's going to be on our fucking
Yes.
team for the next
Buy
10
the
years.
shirt.
So it's an investment, is what I'm saying.
I'll drop it in the chat in a little
Future
bit
kids.
once we get some
That's
people in
what's
here.
going on. Drop it in the chat. Throw it in a banner on the bottom. Buy Hot 97 with 60 in the morning for the next 4 years, guys. We are psyched. We don't have contract details, and even if we did, we really wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, man. But I mean, if you look at it though at surface level, obviously we need more to it. But it looks like he got Duron Payne's deal with a little bit more guaranteed money. Dexter Lawrence is a much better player than Duron Payne, and he doesn't try to punch his teammates in the face. So like,
I mean, he hasn't yet.
now he's got all that money.
I don't think Dexy would do that.
I
because
mean,
feel
somebody
he's
did
a
post on Twitter
lover, not a
today of
fighter.
him sacking Daniel Jones.
Oh,
What?
what? I'm sure
I mean,
Duke, right?
That's
Oh,
like
is that
of him
Clem-
sacking Daniel Jones.
Clemson Duke?
I can't remember. Yep.
Is that what it is?
Just laying him out. Yeah, I don't know
Oh
what
God.
I saw it, but
Now we have
I'll-
multiple
I'll-
people on this team who's laid out
Beautiful.
Daniel Jones. You also have Okereke who laid him out last year at the goal line.
You know what?
I
I think
think that's,
Okereke
I
did
think
that
that's,
because of a bunch of
a
Daniel
prerequisite.
Jones Twitter haters, and he was contracted out by like Mo and Cross and a few other of the Giants Twitter haters who are just like, "Fuck Daniel Jones, easy." Like all these guys who are like, "Oh, no matter what happens with Daniel Jones, there's always a hater." So I think Okereke got like a little extra cash from them to
Shout
hit him at the goal line. Just so we can see Tyrod Taylor in the playoffs. That's what I think. That's a conspiracy theory.
That's a theory for sure.
I don't think that's
That is
unfair
definitely a theory.
with some of the shit.
But man, no, dude.
I mean,
this
I didn't
dude
realize
got,
we were going full tinfoil hat tonight.
This dude could have got $25 million a year though, and I would have been thrilled with the deal. Like I'm just, we broke the curse of not re-signing our defensive tackles that we signed. We got an all-pro like difference maker, and he's back. Baby. We got to clear up a little bit of cap room for the time being. It most likely it's gonna be good. I'm happy.
I mean, I just don't
I
understand
think-
paying $25 million for a two-down no.
I know. What a piece of shit. I don't think he's worth it at all. I just don't.
Fire Joe Shane
no,
immediately.
Yeah, I think Joe Shane's totally out of his depth. I think he's a terrible GM. I think we should bring back Gettleman. I'm kidding. I really do think that it's amazing. And what this shows with this, he got the third highest contract of a defensive tackle in history.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Mike Lombardo is the biggest piece of shit of all time and doesn't know anything, doesn't know his ass from his elbow. the disease of me. If that was the case, wouldn't our guy have held out for an extra year, more money? Like, but no, I'm going to take a team friendly deal, make my money, and come back to a team that appreciates me. But hey, listen, if you want to make up fake narratives like everyone talks about, that's fine with me too. It's good for your content. It's good for your subscriptions. Cool. We're going to start doing that here at Big Blue Beards. I'm going to make up, a rumor about Sarge, and then we're just going to go with it.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I'm going to see this. Take. Rumor has it, Smooth is drunk right now.
Oh, I'm fucking hammered.
Hey, cheers to that.
How am I the only sober one? That's even
no, I'm sober.
He said, "No, I'm sober." No, rumor.
No, unlike this last weekend.
Yeah, rumor has it that Smooth has had a few tequilas tonight. It's unfounded.
That's why he's outside.
Because it feels great. I don't want to be inside because it's too warm. I don't want to deal with any of that. It's so nice.
Speaking of this past weekend, something happened this weekend. The New York Football Giants got better than they were last weekend.
Damn right we did.
The 2023 NFL Draft happened last weekend. So, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Thoughts about the draft, and hopefully somebody will show up in the chat and talk about it. But we'll just keep talking like there's people here until they do. So
we'll catch them after the show, as long as we don't play a Key and Peele skit at the end.
I still have to edit that out. I still haven't done that yet. I'm boycotting it, but I'll do it this weekend, maybe.
The lost episode.
The lost episode of Big Blue Beards. Until I edit the Key and Peele sketch out. You had to be here. Anyway. 2023 NFL. So round number 1, we made a move. We gave up a 5th and a 7th to move up one spot to get our guy, quarterback out of Maryland, Deonte Banks. Now, I saw a lot of people initially very upset about the trade because earlier the Eagles only gave up a 4th round pick to move up one spot. People don't understand how draft picks work. Since when? I have a question for you guys. Since when are there 4 different point scales for draft picks? When did that happen?
There's so many.
I just remember the one.
The Jimmy Johnson one.
The Jimmy Johnson one. Where did these other ones come from? Where it's like
they evolve.
No, we got screwed because we gave up, this and this and this and who cares? It's a 5th and a 7th. We had extras.
Yeah.
The bottom line is what it comes down to is that people are complaining about moving up in the draft. This is what this world is. A year ago, when we didn't move up and the Eagles jumped us and got Devontae Smith, and then we traded back from 12. Everyone complained about how we got Kadarius Toney and how we didn't do enough to get our guy and how Micah Parsons was there and everything that comes with it, right? So now that was 2 years ago. Now this draft, we move up and give up a couple of picks and people complain about it. So that's the nature of the world. Like, it doesn't matter what we do, people are going to complain about likely, not always, but likely draft picks who are going to struggle to make the team after a year or two. Like a 5th, what was it, a 5th and a 6th or something like that? Like they moved up, like a 5th and a 7th. Even more so.
Boys in the chat.
Like 5th and a 7th, like especially the 7th round picks. Since when has a 7th round pick made an impact
four of
on the
them, right?
Giants? Yeah, we had 4
Not
7th round
Bradshaw.
picks.
Don't
That's
disrespect.
what it was. Was Bradshaw? I thought Bradshaw was a 6th round pick.
I'm pretty sure he's a 7th. I could be wrong.
How dare you? Maybe at the beginning of the 7th round. All right, Monty.
How dare you.
No, but like I'm being serious. Like, so that's
Yeah.
one guy, and that's one of
Yeah.
my guys. Like, I love Bradshaw, but like, okay, probably early in the 7th round, but he wasn't like Mr. Irrelevant. Like, everyone looks at like, and that's also what it comes down to. Brock Purdy was like a big deal last year, so everyone's like, well, maybe he'll turn out to be Brock Purdy, and we missed out on him. It's like, listen, they're going to get who they want to get, and that's the value. Like, they went and got their guys. It wasn't a fallback. That's what I love about it, is they traded up for 2 people who they really wanted, that were high on their top 30 list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you guys said. So for me, I have a take on it that's similar, where I'm not mad about moving up at all. Like, my only thought where I wasn't annoyed or anything. I was just happy that we got up and got a guy that I wanted. But with that said, the only thing I could criticize at all about it, from my point of view, and my point of view is clearly different from theirs, so it's totally different, is that the way I see it is I see a guy like Joey Porter Jr. and Deontay Banks, who I had in the same tier. I know a lot of people had Joey Porter Jr. even ahead of Deontay Banks. For me, they were the same tier. And to me, like, that's where you can sit patient and be like, I'm okay with one falling to us. But the thing is, clearly they did not feel the same way as me. As much as I felt that way, and I would have preferred that to be how they handled it, clearly that's not how they felt. It seems like that's not how a few other NFL teams felt, because there was apparently rumors that they were trying to move up into it, and then they didn't take Joey Porter Jr. So
Right.
there is obviously a disconnect there. I saw something different than them, but I'll say this. I don't think that they move up one spot if there's multiple people in a tier for them. I think clearly we should feel good that there was a guy they really liked. They didn't reach on a guy. They were like, hey, this is like the end of a tier for us, and we do not want to miss out. So let's go get him while we have a chance. So, like, I would have preferred to stay, but I respect going up for it and have no problem giving up a 5th and a 7th to do it.
I feel you. What's up, Sarge? What do you think?
Yep. Well, and it's funny to me how everybody has an opinion, and then how quickly those opinions will change once you find out what else is going on behind the scenes. We're talking about Dallas contacting Jacksonville to jump up. Something just came out like a day or so ago that Brandon Beane had and Joe Shane had like another kind of like deal in place for Buffalo to move up to where the Giants were if they were looking for that guy. Because here's the thing. Was Dallas going to move up for Deontay Banks? Probably not, but they were looking at that tight end that Buffalo ended up moving up. Like, Jacksonville traded back twice. Like,
Yeah.
It's all sorts of stuff going on. There was obviously not somebody there that Jacksonville really needed to, like, nope, we're staying put because our guy is drops to us. They just kept moving back. So same thing with Arizona. Arizona moved back twice. Jacksonville moved back twice. You find out Dallas was trying to move up, and we moved up into a spot where we felt comfortable with what we were giving up to get a guy we wanted and needed. This draft, even more so than last year, this year draft fell into a nice sweet spot where best player available and a need lined up almost perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't have handled it any better. Like, big picture overall view, right? Round 1, same thing. Our guy was right there, and we moved up a little bit to get our guy, and that's what I like to see. You like to see a little aggressiveness in the GM. Joe Shane is our guy.
No, I agree. I think the only thing that I guess I would have in a best of both worlds scenario, I would have loved to have seen the Giants, and this is assuming that all things are equal, that a team would have been accepting of us moving up even further, is to get a Jordan Addison, to get a wide receiver. That was their like number one wide receiver on the board. Outside of that, I really truly believe that the Giants picked, with the exception of Witherspoon, like the best cornerback on the board.
Yeah.
That was my assertion with the round one pick.
So then there was a rumor that if we did try to trade up earlier, it was actually for Jordan for Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jordan Addison messed up. For Zay Flowers. That was a rumor. I also heard another rumor. You guys might be interested. I know that Ethan GSN heard the same thing. He actually said it on his podcast, but I heard the same thing as him. Is there? Jesus Christ, my camera's going nuts right now.
Yeah, what's going on? Are you being taken over?
I don't know. I gotta get my antenna.
His horizontal hold is off. He's got.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to ignore it for a second.
He took all the tinfoil that was on the antenna and made a new hat out of it.
I'm going to get through it for a second.
Sarge's internet's working tonight, and your fucking camera's fucked up. What the fuck's going on?
I might exit. Okay. Dude, that guy is a freak. You can't see it necessarily on tape.
Bob, wait, hold. We're gonna talk UDFAs because I know Monty's gonna go nuts if he doesn't get to talk about his West Virginia wide receivers. We'll get there.
Okay.
So
here, I'm gonna do this like a silent rumor, whatever. We'll say it, but okay. So there was a rumor that I heard for one of my buddies who he has some friends with like ownership over there, someone that he knows Amera. And he told me a list of names that we're interested in. One of them was Banks. One of the ones he also mentioned to me was that we were interested in trading for Jerry Jeudy if the board didn't fall a certain way. I heard the same thing from a couple other people who had sources that in one of them was that when Zay Flowers went off the board, it's gonna be Jeudy or it's gonna be Banks. That's what it was. I heard it from multiple people, the exact same thing.
Oh, I am so glad that we didn't trade a first round pick for Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, so I am thrilled the way it did. Hang on a second, guys. I'm going to try fixing my camera. You guys talk. I'll be right back.
I feel like Monty's naked now. He's like, oh, I'm so free.
He's not wearing pants.
I'm so free.
He's not wearing pants. Can confirm. Rumor mill. Monty's not wearing pants.
Unconfirmed rumor mill is exactly what that was.
Unconfirmed.
That's a new segment. Unconfirmed rumor mill.
I'm gonna have to make a graphic.
Okay. Bob's Pool Service, huh? Like, I know I'm late on this, but we're talking about Bryce Ford Wheaton, an undrafted free agent. That's who you want to talk about? Come on, bro. That dude's got like that guy's got like a 2% chance to make the team. I don't give a fuck about it.
He's got a really good chance to make the team.
Does he have a good chance? Why? How?
Have you not watched any of the tape?
I don't give a fuck about his tape, dude. Everyone looked great on tape in the Big 12. It's West Virginia. Are you kidding me? You could look good. You could look good. Dave,
when that.
Okay. Don't worry.
We're still talking about the draft. We're worried about. I mean,
it's all relative. It's all relative. Don't come on me, bro. Like, I'm gonna come on you all day.
Pause.
No, but seriously, like, why the fuck are we talking about undrafted free agents when these guys are likely going to not make the team or just be our practice squad guys? Wow. There's only one Victor Cruz over the last 10 years. Everyone needs to fucking chill out.
Contract.
Cool, because he's got like great measurables. He's 6'4", 212 pounds, all of that. Great. Awesome. He runs really fast. If he was great, he would have been drafted. Can we not agree on that?
Because I'm psycho. Well,
Sarge, can we agree on one thing? That if this dude was a talented player enough to be drafted, there's 257 players drafted.
Like 250, it's 200 something.
Ish, right?
Ish.
You're trying to tell me that with how bad some of the receiving cores are in this league, that this dude who has all the measurables of a DK Metcalf wouldn't have been picked up already by someone? How did that happen?
Because there's more players in the pool than there are draft picks.
Oh, okay.
That's
I'm
how
just
something
saying,
like that
if this dude was so good, he would have been drafted. If he makes the team and he's a contributor, I'll root for him. Clearly, I'm not rooting against him, but it's just like I don't fucking care. Like it's, it is what it is.
I don't think Monty's going to appreciate you slandering his West Virginia wide receivers when he comes
What's going
back.
on here? Hang on. What
I
am
don't
I
know what we're
missing?
John Michael Schmitz. That's what
John
we were
Michael
talking about. We were talking about pick 57, John Michael
Yeah,
Schmitz.
that's exactly what we're talking
The
about. Sure.
best center in the draft falls to the Giants in round 2, right in our lap. And of course, the Jets do the most Jet thing possible and pick Joe Tippmann.
Tommy
Yeah.
DeVito. Let's
Talking
go.
Giants in the
There we
building.
go.
Of course, we're going to talk about Tommy DeVito. We're trying to recap draft. Look, we're not nearly as in depth as the Talking Giants guys are. Let's be straight, guys. Come on, let's be 100%. We're throwing right out on the table. We are a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
The only people who think we're funny are the rest of us. And
Yes.
Pest.
Also, this is true. This is also a true story.
Best pool service in Central Florida.
The nation.
Yeah.
It's the best pool service in the nation. Yeah. Bob's Pool Service.
Bob's pool.
You missed Monty. You missed the best comeback of my life when he was like in the chat. He said, "Don't come on me, bro." I said, "I'll come on you whenever I want."
Pause. Pause.
What?
Man, I just want to talk some Bryce Ford Wheaton,
Oh, dude, come
future
on now.
DK Metcalf.
I'm not nearly drunk enough to talk Bryce Ford Wheaton.
We are banging the drum for undrafted free agents here
What?
tonight.
Hey,
West
Tommy.
Virginia undrafted free agents.
Hey, and
Let's
Tommy
just skip
DeVito,
all of
you
the
know-
draft picks and talk about undrafted free agents. Let's talk about Tommy DeVito. Let's talk about Bryce Ford Wheaton. Anybody else? Like all these fucking guys who aren't going to make the team. Sounds awesome.
Hey, Tommy DeVito.
I mean, I'm telling
fourth
you,
quarter
the
preseason pass to Bryce Ford Wheaton is
Yep.
going to hit different. It's going to hit different.
Yep.
Oh,
You
yeah?
don't even know much about him other than his initials are TD and he wears it on his chest and a chain. Couldn't be
chain,
more
baby.
Jersey than that.
Certified Guido. Hello.
Don Bosco's own Tommy DeVito.
I love it. I love it.
I'm not mad at Tommy D. I'm not gonna lie.
It's gonna. I hope he's a thing. Not like he won't be a real thing, but I hope he's like.
Oh no, I hope he's a real thing.
Oh, I hope he
hope
is
he's a
too.
real thing.
But
I fucking love how we're just Bobby's just
How we're
jumping
being
on here.
how we're being
trolled by
totally
Bobby.
trolled by
Bobby
Talking
Troll.
Giants. Thank you, fellas.
Bobby Troll.
Where's Eric from? Is it Eric from Florida? Is that his call in?
Yeah, first time, long time.
Yeah. First time, long time. Eric from Florida. And he's calling into
Justin
kickoff.
Justin from Parsippany.
All right.
No. Funny thing. Kid Blue was in the comments in the Talking Giants draft screaming about Baldonado for like an hour and a half.
Got
The
him.
only
I
thing
don't know
I know
who the fuck we're
about
talking about.
Baldonado is he's from Rome.
Is he
Baldonado's
really?
from Rome. Yeah,
Hmm.
like certified paisan from Italy. He was born in Rome. He didn't start playing football till high school. I think something like that.
I want to know how many YouTubes Bobby has access to.
17, and he's
infinite numbers.
currently making 16 more.
Just keep going.
Just
All right.
you know what? I hope he keeps trolling us all night. It's great.
All right. John Michael Smits.
Who gives a Schmitz? Let's go.
All I
Let's
know
go.
is that I was very drunk at my bachelor party when he got picked, and it just turned into the whole group singing John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. Da, 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 da. Outside just screaming that after the pick. But no, I think that was my favorite pick of the draft. I love the guy we're going to talk about next. But he's just so pro ready. He's like one of the more pro ready guys in this draft. I expect him to come in and have an immediate impact. You could see how pro ready he was when we were talking about the fact that he did so well at the Senior Bowl. I don't know what the noise is, but he is just a very strong in the run game. Hang on. Not me.
Is it me?
You're hearing.
It might be.
I don't know what you're hearing.
I'm
I
hearing
don't know
like
what you're hearing.
you're not hearing that? I'm hearing like strong
No.
buzzing. Okay.
That's you. This is what happens. When
Talk
you shoot
talk
live.
about Baldonado.
Talk about Baldonado from Italy. Baldonado. Yeah.
Let's talk about Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Well, he can't hear us. Yeah.
I mean, I'm outside, so there's like crickets and shit, but
I can't hear anything other than I don't know what he's
Yeah.
hearing.
I don't know. We can't hear anything.
And I'm not
Mike-
editing. Like, by the way, YouTube, I'm not editing any of this out. None of it. It all stays in.
All right, so
That's what I-
time out.
So, are we going to talk about
This
undrafted free
podcast
agents
has completely gone off the rails already.
again? Oh yes,
We're
because
only-
every other week we're so buttoned up.
we're so polished.
I don't know
Such
what
a
it was.
polished show.
I tried
Polished.
pulling it out so I could do it to the laptop, but anyway, I
That's
still
what she
kind of hear it,
says.
but it's mostly gone.
Tried pulling.
But I don't know. I loved it, dude.
That's what he said.
That's what he
Tried pulling out, didn't work out. Now I'm
said.
pregnant. Got a baby. The fuck.
But he's a polished player, very good run blocker, and it was a huge need because I did not want fucking Ben Bredesen learning how to snap and whoever we were gonna do. I'm really happy.
I
needed
totally agree with you. And we did these draft shows a couple weeks back before it, and I know a lot of people wanted the Michigan center, who I'm not going to pronounce because I'm drunk. But at the same time, I didn't want a project at that position, right? So if we're gonna, if the fact that a center of his caliber fell to 57, and now he's literally going to be a day one starter, I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. Because I know a lot of people were banging the drum last year for Tyler Linderbaugh, that he's a center at Baltimore, right? Like
Yep.
it's the same caliber. I mean, he may be like slightly worse, but it's literally the exact same caliber player. Athletic, can pull, is gonna fit into this scheme and exactly what they want to do from a run perspective, whether we have Saquon or not. And then if we do sign Saquon, I just think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely, there's less of a ceiling than with some of the elite guys a little bit older, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either because, he's going to come in. Like a Tyler Linderbaum is a guy who started two years in college football. He switched to center after his freshman year from defensive line. So, that played in his favor for his ceiling, but didn't necessarily play in his favor to comparison to a guy who's played 5 years of football. Like,
Right.
he's going to be somebody who will come in and should be able to have an impact day one for us. And it's something we desperately needed because offensive line was a really big need for us last year. It was not something that was a strength of ours, and we didn't do anything to address it this offseason until we got John Michael Schmitz. That opens up to where we can give Ben Bredesen potentially a chance to fight for one of these guard jobs with either a Zudu or with Mark Golinsky. And that can open us up to having a very good interior offensive line, or at least very average. And hopefully you can be a
I think
strength
at this
for us.
point we'd settle for an average offensive line.
especially if it's just interior. Hopefully Neal takes up a step and we have 2 bookend tackles out there. But it's also, I think, underrated the fact that he's a smart dude. He's a guy who knows how to call up protections and things along those lines. Having that as a guy who's played center for a few years, and also having a guy who will continue to play center for us moving forward and be able to continue that continuity for us, I think is really important. And I have really no worries about him.
None.
Yeah.
None.
So then in round 3, we make the big jump up to grab our guy again. Joe Schoen gets aggressive and moves up to get his guy. And it just so happens to be our guy on the top row here, Jalin Hyatt out of Tennessee.
Quick. I told you guys this pre-show.
Yeah.
Quick story, and then Sarge, take it away.
Go for it.
My wife, who's a Cowboys fan, is also a huge Tennessee football fan. So by marriage, I've been indoctrinated into Tennessee football and SEC. Not that I haven't watched SEC football in the past, but I'm rooting for Tennessee. And then they had Hendon Hooker, who's a Greensboro guy, hometown, all that stuff. So it was just like a coincidence that we watched. My wife and I watched the draft religiously over the last few years. It's our thing, and so we're sitting there. I'm holding the baby, and I'm waiting for the Giants to make this pick. And she's in the kitchen, which is kind of adjacent. I'm looking at it, but she's adjacent to you can't see the TV unless you're right in front of the stove. And out of nowhere, and I think it was Troy Vincent, which sucks because he's a former Eagle, was and the New York Giants select Jalin Hyatt with the pick 73. They traded up quickly, and they just the pick was in. That happens quick in these rounds. And so she's in the other room, and I'm literally holding my 2-month-old son going, Jalin fucking Hyatt. And she's just she peeks her head out and it's just are you fucking serious? He's at the Giants now. And I was just yep, you're gonna have to root for your boy. I'm working on her. She's gonna know being a Giants fan before this. Before I die.
Jersey.
We need to get, and then on top of it, I know we're not there yet, but a couple days later we're out having some food. And another former Tennessee kid who transferred to Oklahoma, Eric Gray, comes to us running back. And I was just we're just getting all these balls. Let's go, baby. So I was pumped, super excited. My wife was pissed, which is great. She all these Michigan guys from the Cowboys. Yeah, Michigan guys really know how to play at a high level on the big stage. I know the people who are Michigan fans, college football playoff, they really step it up when they need to. Anyway, that was my interpretation of round 3. Fuck Michigan.
That was great. No, but my favorite part about round 3 is that, and I sent this out at one point in time or another, that by round 3, we had 3 picks that were all mocked to the Giants at one point in time in round 1. We got essentially round 1 value in all 3 rounds. And I thought that was amazing.
Yep.
A lot of people were Jalin Hyatt, 25 was too high. But when we get him in the 3rd round, everyone's super thrilled. Yeah, I'm just thrilled that we have the guy who can take the top off of defense.
Yeah. I mean, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Monty, before you give your summation, because I want to hear your take on Jalin Hyatt from everything that comes with it. The idea, and I posted, there's a clip of him, being the people are oh, I think it was a Cowboys coach or something about your skill set is speed.
Yeah.
And he was okay, we'll see. If you look at, all you have to do is look at film of Jalin Hyatt. A true speed guy that has trouble catching the ball truly does not catch with his hands. Every big catch of Jalin Hyatt's career is with his hands. Mm-hmm. He doesn't bring it in here. It's the SEC. If you bring it in here, you're going to get it knocked out of you. Yeah, so a lot of these guys, also Monty, one of these guys you had concerns about, Quentin Johnston, was a body catcher. Because he had time. Mm-hmm. dude, if you throw me a ball and I have 3 yard separation and I can bring it into my chest, then I can start my speed off of that. But this dude did not have time in the SEC. So my point is like, not only is he, as Sarge said, a potential round 1-2 value in round 3, the guy can catch the ball. Like he's not Will Fuller. He's not like a one-trick pony. I really do feel like they can put him in a lot of different places. So go ahead, Monty.
Sure. So yeah, and one thing I thought was interesting, talk about, he could be a round 1 guy. Really, I thought at the very least be a round 2 guy. I really think that when we were on the clock in the second round, we wanted Jalen Hyatt. That was the guy that we wanted outside of John Michael Schmitz. And I think, Joe Schoen basically alluded to that, which I think was like, he was basically like, he was saying, all right, let's see who would give us who will take a 4th to be able to move up. They're like, and it seemed like they were just trying to make calls and putting out texts, and finally Dable got that text through, and they were able to move up, and they got their guy. I'm hyped about it, man. I might have not been a Jalen Hyatt guy to the Giants in round 1, but I still thought Jalen Hyatt was a first-round wide receiver. I just didn't think he was a first-round wide receiver fit for the Giants. And not to say I don't think he's a fit for a Giant. I just think that you needed a team that was a proven deep threat to invest a first-round draft pick in him. Now, with that said, out of the third round, to be able to take him, be able to help improve our deep game is totally worth that, because we need to be able to do so much that what he brings, where he'll be able to, open up the box for Saquon Barkley, and vice versa. They can't, put somebody up over the top on Jalen Hyatt as much if they're loading the box. So I think overall it's one of those moves that's going to help your football team even more than it'll necessarily show up on the box score for Jalen Hyatt year 1. But
no, I totally agree. And one of the things that I thought of too is like, think about Jalen Hyatt in this perspective. When Cowboys drafted Michael Gallup in like the second round, everyone was just like, what a great pick. Like, it's just like, amazing, like, why are people freaking out about Jalen Hyatt in the third round? The guy has more production than almost anybody in college football. He's not just a streaks guy. They played in a pretty complicated system in Tennessee. I understand like people shit on it because it's fast paced, but like that's the way the NFL is now. Like it's up tempo. Like he's literally playing in a system. Like you don't think that these college football coaches have relationships with our like NFL coaches? Like Brian Daboll had. I mean, it's a good relationship with Josh Heupel. Like I'm sure he did his homework. Can this guy play in the NFL? Is he tough enough? What do we want, right? Tough, dependable, smart. Like Jalen Hyatt. Have you seen Jalen Hyatt's dad? That motherfucker looks like he would whip any of us into shape. Like if he came to our house right now and was like, I need you to fucking do 10 push-ups right now, you'd be like, yes, sir. Whatever you say. Listen, this dude is 21 years old. Like he knows what to do. Like he's been his dad essentially drilled it into him. He's coachable. I'm sold. Jalen Hyatt, I'm right there. Like just that one interaction with that Cowboy scout who was just like, "Oh, you're just a speed guy." Like that was, I'm done right there. Like he was just like, "Okay, we'll see." Like
he's a good mix between cocky and modest.
Like, yes, let me just show you. He didn't say, "Oh, I'll and come back and like shove that in the dude's face." He was just like, "Okay, we'll see." That's it.
Yeah, and he like knew where he was getting with the. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Kind of like. Letting him
exactly
putting that chip on his shoulder.
Oh, what's my skill set? Skill set?
But yeah, man, I think he's a good
I wouldn't
fit.
be mad if he was cocky, if he was just like, oh, my skill set's just speed. I'll have 10 catches for 100 yards on you. Like whatever. I'm a fucking possession receiver too. Whatever.
I think the Heupel, what you said about his coach is a good point, because also Gabe Davis was a guy who played under him. And then they went and drafted him in Buffalo. So they obviously thought that was a fit. One thing I brought up on Twitter the other day, where I actually do think that his scheme at Tennessee could fit to what we're doing here. A lot of that doesn't translate. Most of it doesn't. But one way I do think it translates is something that we did here that was brought over from Buffalo and Kansas City was their option routes. They ran a lot of option routes in both the teams. And they talked about it here. that little white dude we cut, and it was a wide receiver for us. He was talking about how he loved
Bachman?
their option routes. Yeah. So like, and like I was watching a video.
White
about,
dude.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. I can't remember his name, but
Alex Bachman.
yeah, Bachman.
It's Alex Bach. Show some respect.
Bachman.
Show some respect. He's 6 foot.
So
He's
but,
taller
yeah.
than any of our receivers right now.
What?
I really do think he's taller than all of our receivers right now, with the
That
exception of Isaiah
might be
Hodgins.
true. At least last year, before we brought in Hodgins.
Someone, Sarge, look that up for me. Seriously, look up Alex Bachman's. I don't have my cell phone on me because I'm a drunk right now. What is Alex Bachman's height? I am dead serious. I have a feeling he's 6 foot, and the only person taller than him in our receiving core is Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah,
Continue,
he's
Monty.
He's 6 foot on the nose.
That's funny. But so
Is he
anyway,
sneaky fast too?
What?
I said, is he sneaky
He's a-
fast too?
He's a gym rat.
Is he a
He's a
coach's
coach.
son?
The Belichick guy?
Did he play at a good school? I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good too.
That's horrible.
But
You should be
anyway, so
ashamed of yourself.
we run a lot of that type of stuff, and that's what they were doing, and that's what he was. He was an option route specialist at Tennessee, and basically what they did is they had 3 routes for him to run on a lot of these. It was either a vert, a post, or a curl, and essentially what it was if he would run up, and if the this corner bailed and was ready for him to run a vert, he would come back and run a curl.
Yep.
If he stayed and he didn't have safety help, he would hit the post. And then it was basically, if he stayed and it was basically like, if we're even, I'm leaving, he just took off and ran the vert. And that was just exactly this, like what he did on all these. And he just killed teams with that. That's why he's so wide open when you watch these routes. When you watch his highlights and he's 30 yards wide open, it's because they would mess up some. He would identify it, and he would use his speed, and he would blaze them. And I do think that's something that we're going to start using with him, because we are a team that takes advantage of those option routes. And if Daniel Jones is as smart as we keep hearing he is, and it's hard. You don't know as much when these option routes are harding. It's hard to identify in real time. You should have no problem being able to build up this chemistry and identifying that with Hyatt, who's done it a million times already. So I think that could be killer for him, and that all comes without even having to expand his route tree, which I'm sure he will at some point. But year one, he can rely on those 3 routes still if we mix in the option routes with them.
So just for clarification,
Sarge,
Smooth,
hey Sarge, no, I'm gonna run and use the bathroom, so you guys talk.
All right.
I'm gonna go pee. Excuse me.
professional, pee in the toilet.
Professional.
So just to clarify, Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, and David Sills were all taller than Alex Bachman.
Yeah. There you go.
So.
All right. So
let's talk about the 4th round since Smooth is gone.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it.
So just like Smooth, we didn't have a pick in the 4th
Going on,
round.
Chris?
What's going on, Chris? So we gave up our 4th round pick for Jalen Hyatt.
We do. Oh yeah.
Which I'm all right with,
Yeah.
Again.
There was some value there
showing
that I would have
showing
liked.
showing the aggressiveness, moving up to get your guy.
Hyatt.
Yep. And
what
then
it is.
what is it? 5th round, round 5, running back. We went running back and Eric Gray, which I had no idea anything about, because I did do some research on a bunch of running backs, but he wasn't on my list. I didn't remember him from the combine. But yeah, man. But he sorry, my phone's beeping at me. I like what I saw though from watching film on him recent Oklahoma, Tennessee. Sorry.
Yeah, man. I like more and more when I look into Eric Gray. I wasn't a huge fan of him initially. I think that probably comes from the idea that with a lot of times with wide receivers and running backs, especially, I definitely evaluate these guys based off of their upside, to some extent, and their floor, but their floor as a productive like player, and not just as like a help your team player. And it's really just because I look at it for those positions, because I start looking at through like fantasy football and stuff like that, because I definitely do a lot of that stuff, and those are big positions. So I kind of look at those through a different lens sometimes. And Eric Gray, because he, lacked athleticism and was older prospect, I didn't really see the ceiling too much with him. But the more and more I look into him, he really is such a good player at this point in his career, where he can come in and he's a solid, can one cut type of runner. He can, move forward, find yards. He's work zone. He's a good player, and he's a good pass catcher too.
Yeah, that was another thing I noticed, is that he's got good hands.
He had no drops this year.
Yeah,
he had zero
super
drops.
Important for a running back. He's good hands.
Yeah, and he might not be like, look, he's not like Jahmyr Gibbs as a receiver. Not many people are. And the way I kind of look at running backs as a receiver is like you're either a receiver or you're not. It's the can do's and the can nots at that position. And he's a can do type guy. Like, he's very capable of being a receiving back, which is important. And I think all around he's going to be a very good contributor. Honestly, if we keep improving this offensive line and it gets to a good point, I don't see any reason he couldn't start for us. A couple years, see no reason that's not a possibility for him.
Yep. So Smooth, we're talking about Eric Gray now.
Yeah, I love a one cut back, and I think he's that guy. Like, no disrespect to Saquon or any of the guys who have multiple moves, and Saquon's like a spin move guy and all that stuff, and obviously he can put his foot in the ground like anybody else. But I love guys who at the running back position. This is just like the old school football fan in me that has like a little bit of that limitations in backs sometimes make better backs.
Yep.
So what that means for me is like a great example of that to me is Ahmad Bradshaw. That dude had this much talent just in terms of like the moves, the ability, and he had so much heart and so much grit, and he did well. He did so well to make himself an NFL running back. And look, like guys like Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs and a guy like Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, those guys, Alvin Kamara, they're otherworldly. But in this world, like, they're not also compensated the way they probably should be. So why would we worry about that position at that level? I think Saquon, to me, needs to kind of prove that he's healthy for a couple more years before we actually pay him, and then he's too old. So then there's like that catch-22. That's why I love this pick so much, because it's a guy that you can plug in, like you said, Monty, that probably could start. Once he grasps the concepts. Like, my biggest thing is like pass protection.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the biggest thing with running backs. Like, when they first come in, is like, can they start or can they play if they can grasp pass protection? If they can, we're good.
He has a year to figure it out with Saquon on a roster for another year. So,
yep. And what I like about him is he shows a lot of patience for a back, and vision too.
Yeah.
So you can watch him, like, you can almost watch him process as things are moving, and how he's gonna hit holes, and how he moves behind the offensive line, in like just that first cut he makes to make that first guy miss. it's like he teleports,
Mhm.
just to the side, and then he's not going to be breaking tons of tackles, but he's a guy who falls forward for extra yards. He consistently makes that first guy miss. I mean, it's a solid pick and in a good spot. It's like we didn't, again, we didn't reach for anybody.
Mhm.
It's true.
Yep. And I think he was a top 30 visit too, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think all of our draft picks were top 30 visits this year.
I know Trey Hawkins was, as far as the guys that were that are coming up. I don't know about the other two.
Well,
But-
that's a good transition into Trey Hawkins in round 6. We got
Yeah.
and I think I called this at some point. We drafted 2 corners this draft.
Yep. Never have enough good corners.
That statement needs to die a horrible, horrible death.
It's true.
Really?
though.
Yeah. I understand that it's true, but every time somebody says it, all I hear in my head is, you can never have enough good corners.
No.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew that guy's voice.
You
go
never
on
have
for
enough
far out.
good corners.
But
All right, kid.
you guys
Tell
have
me
any
about
thoughts-
Trey
any thoughts
Hawkins.
on Trey Hawkins?
I didn't do any deep dive into him. I just saw what Talking Giants put out on him, and I thought that was pretty fucking cool. Like that he was pretty impressive in that one game. But look, I mean, I feel like he's a measurables guy. Anytime I feel like you get past the 4th round, if it's not a guy you feel like is like immeasurable talent, like you're betting on the type of upside the guy has, and I'm totally fine with that. Like you don't value is measured on what you think you're going to bring. This guy's going to bring to the table and what your coaches can do with him, and I'm okay with that. I mean, he looks like a guy that they can mold.
He's a coach's dream. He's
Mhm.
he's got the exact athleticism and frame and all that stuff that you want out of a corner. But Trice from Purdue was another guy that I was interested in there. I can't say I was super familiar with Hawkins, but I'm fine with the pick. He keeps fitting that role of these young athletic players that they like to add. So yeah, I liked it. I don't have too much to say about it. I'm sure he'll contribute on special teams, but
Yeah.
he's a guy to mold. I think a lot of these picks are special teams.
No, you're right. I think special teams is big. I actually think he should do from we're a common podcast, right? I think who he should get a sponsorship from. What do you think, Sarge? Who should he get a sponsorship from? I expect more from you to know this right now for that.
Oh, jeez.
What's his last name?
Hawkins. Stranger
Mhm.
Things? Or
Yes, thank
I
you.
was
Stranger
thinking- I was
Things.
like,
little
from-
David
I was-
Harbour with the
I
little,
was say from your sheriff's department.
yeah.
Yes, from my sheriff's department
Hawkins,
to your
yeah,
eyes,
Hawkins,
to your
chief of
ears, to
police.
God's ears. Hawkins, chief of police, right here.
I was
wants
thinking
to-
immediately. I was thinking Old Dominion Trucking, and I'm like, how are we going to work a moving van into? Oh, wait a minute! No, we're talking Hawkins, Hopper, Stranger Things. There we go. I'm picking up what you're putting.
Yeah,
down.
totally. I think you should get a Hawkins. Oh, by the way, we're about to get photo by my Great Dane.
Hey,
Hello.
dogs.
Oh, what's up, bud? Hi,
Oh, good boy.
Just
Come here.
boy.
You
Well,
guys
yeah,
want to see him anyway. No need to look at me.
for we can kind of just group in. We had Jordan Riley and Javarius Owens. Jordan Riley's defensive tackle out of Oregon. Javarius Owens. Me personally, out of those two, I didn't know much about either of them. Jordan Riley, I didn't see anything that stood out to me that I liked him. I like addressing defensive tackle. We'll have to see what they see because I don't like him.
isn't Jordan Riley like 40 years old?
He
He
was
is.
an older prospect, I think.
Like,
Everybody's talking about how old Stetson Bennett and Hendon Hooker are. Meanwhile, Jordan Riley's
There's a lot of old
Paying off
prospects
his-
in this draft.
paying
How
off
old-
his
how old is
college
he?
loans with Social Security.
Let's say
How old is Jordan Riley?
We'll see.
I
I
don't know.
couldn't remember how old. I know there is a lot of fucking old guys in this draft.
Because
though,
here's the other
because
thing: is
of
he
years.
is the Talking Giants guys have talked about it, and I saw a bunch of other people talk about it. Is he's got like a
He's 24.
short little byline in the beast, and that's about it.
Well, they had their COVID
And
years
Dane
too, so
Brugler.
like that's the thing too. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's.
a
I
lot
mean,
of
he's been in college since 2017. He should have
Yeah.
a PhD by now.
yeah, a lot of people spending in college for 7 years.
There's a lot
They're
of
called doctors.
people who spend 8 years in college. Yeah,
But
Shut up,
but
Richard.
yeah, those people are called. What you do?
For all you young kids out there, that's called Tommy Boy reference. Okay, go check it out. Watch a real movie.
but yeah,
We'd show clips
not
of it,
too
but
much to
YouTube
say
would
about
ban us
Riley.
again.
what?
I said we'd show clips of it, but YouTube would ban us again.
Yeah.
That's right.
Um,
I'm gonna get banned
Javarius-
for Great Dane highlights.
Javarius Owens, I thought was an interesting pickup. From what I saw, he's a pretty good all-around safety. He wasn't necessarily special, didn't pop off tape, but he did block 2 kicks in college. So again, I think special teams is where you're going. Safety out of Houston. What's up, buddy? But yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
I like that.
big
I
run.
like that Houston pick. I like that safety out of Houston pick. That was he's solid. Look, you know the American Conference isn't great, but it's not bad football. A lot of times you get guys who have been there 3-4 years, minimum, right? So you're not going to get a young guy. I think that's a lot about what this is, right? You're getting special teams guys, you're getting depth pieces. So I'm totally fine with that pick as well. Listen, if you don't know anything about the guy, you shouldn't have an opinion on him. I saw some film on him. He looks
Yeah.
good, but he's also playing in like a second-tier conference. Okay.
now talking about guys
Different.
that you have to see to have an opinion on. Bryce Ford Wheaton, undrafted free agent, West Virginia University, my alma mater. Man, I'm excited about the pickup.
Are you?
I mean, you don't see people with that size and that athletic profile go undrafted or late. You mean, you see a guy like Miles Boykins, even like as a low side, like a guy who didn't work out with that type of measurables. He still went 3rd round, and their measurables are identical. I mean, this guy was the leading receiver at West Virginia for multiple years. He is a 50-50 guy. Taking you down.
Sorry.
He's-
Keep
See,
going.
this is why I keep my dog out of the room. I do this.
Your dog's like 12 pounds. Stop it.
But he's a developmental guy. He doesn't have much of a route tree. He did have some drop issues here, but he was a guy who he would take over games at a time. And he had like a season opener versus Pitt. He had 2 touchdowns in that game, and he goes up and he fights for balls, and his big body. It's you think of a guy like Colin Johnson, who we were like, oh man, it's too bad he got hurt. That guy offered
Right.
no athletic upside. It's that kind of thing. It's like Colin Johnson, but with like way more athletic upside. He's got to develop a route tree to survive in this league, but that's the type of guys I want to take shots on. Guys
But
who have.
Monty, can I ask you a question? Because I
Yeah.
know that you're
So,
West
wait,
Virginia
I
guy.
got one. I got
Go ahead,
one
Sarge.
point I want to make before you ask Monty his question. Because here's the thing, and I want you to watch this. I wonder
Please.
if Monty smiles as much when he talks about his fiance to other people as much as he smiles when he talks about West Virginia wide receivers. He's ear to ear. Bryce Ford Wheaton, David Sills, like it like the beard hides the dimples, but I honestly wonder if he smiles that much talking about his fiance as he does about
This is
West
the way.
Virginia
This
wide
is the way
receivers.
Monty looks at receivers. The way my dog was just looking at me like, I love you so much.
Your dog confused what you're looking at.
He's like, I love you so much. No, my one question is about Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Mm-hmm.
You left similar to the way I left earlier in the pod. I was just like, okay, so if this guy has the athleticism that we're all talking about, why wouldn't he have been picked before this draft? Like, just in your opinion, like what are the downsides of him? We talked about the upsides. Like, what's the bad side of Bryce Ford Wheaton that he couldn't get drafted in the 7 rounds?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I'll say it makes no sense to me, but I'll say, there's some inconsistency to his game. If I'm just gonna poo-poo on him, there's some inconsistency to his game. He has some drop issue, like not like ridiculous drop issue, like the drop numbers you can compare to a lot of guys taken high. The one thing I know is that Pitt game I was talking about.
Yep.
He scored 2 touchdowns in that game. He was a big reason we're in that game. We're supposed to win that game. He runs a 5-yard curl. We throw the ball. He Evan Ingrams it off his hands, straight up in the air, picked, game over, Pitt wins. Like, there's a shit like that goes on. And then, like, he's not a very, like, precise route runner, but it's hard to, like, tell that because West Virginia is Big 12. Big 12 does not ask you to have a route tree, so it's really hard to judge it, but it's also he doesn't have it. But he's a legitimately good 50-50 ball guy. Like, he is legitimately very good at 50-50 ball. I'll say other thing is athleticism doesn't show up on tape. That's probably the biggest thing that we're looking at. That's probably big. Because the other things really, they're not that bad. It's just a Big 12, outside of being a Big 12 wide receiver. Everyone hates that they don't run routes, and I get it. I'm with them. But the biggest thing probably is that, like, yeah, he runs that, but what's good if you don't see it on tape? So if you ask me what Bryce Ford Wheaton was going to run, I'd say maybe like a 4.48, 4.49. Like, that's what I probably would have told you. I was totally blindsided when he ran a 4.38. Does not have that type of it. Doesn't have a ton of wiggle to his game. But, man, the fact that those athletic traits exist and he has that 50-50 ball ability. Hey, Wheaton Warriors. The new Sills Army.
Warriors.
Ian Saladin starting that. But
Hashtag Wheaton Warriors. Oh.
There's definitely like questions about him, but
there's a lot of questions.
I mean, look, that's like me trying to be as critical of a late round guy as possible. I could say
but he wasn't a late round guy. He's an undrafted free agent. Like, that's the thing is, like, I will tell you this. I hope it would be the coolest thing in the world if we were to, you guys know this, like, come on. Anytime we get you get a diamond in the rough, any team that you follow, whether you're a Giants fan, Yankees fan, fucking Jets fan, any of that shit, like, if there's a guy that didn't get drafted, like, everybody knows, and he's yours and your team finds him, it's awesome. Like, so a guy like Bryce Ford Wheaton, like, he automatically is going to get benefit of the doubt. Like, preseason, if he has a monster game, people are going to be like, sign him, fucking bring him up, like, let's go, make the team. Like, of course, like, that's going to be the case. Do you remember Corey Washington? Or that fucking guy? Like, that's what it reminds me of. It's like, guy had a crazy preseason athleticism. I said it when you were gone for a second, Monday. I was like, there's really only one Victor Cruz like every decade that makes the team,
and you don't ever see him coming.
No, you never do. And then when he does, you're like, oh, I knew it all along. Yeah, I was on him early. You know, I was talking to my buddy about it on a podcast. Yeah, he's legit. Like, it just fucking doesn't happen. And the more we recognize that this shit doesn't happen, listen, I hope it happens. I will be a Wheaton Warriors with you. I will fucking wear a shirt with you. You know that. I'm that guy. but fuck him until he actually shows me something. Because that's the kind of shit that's so until they prove that's the kind of shit that's so infuriating. Is that, like, a guy with that athleticism and that fucking speed doesn't get drafted because he's probably a fucking douchebag. Like, no disrespect.
I mean, come on. Along those lines about him, but
oh god.
And, like, I knew a lot of people on the team and shit. I never heard anything about that.
Never heard anything bad about him?
No, nothing like that. Like, I never heard anything good or bad about it. I never, like, heard anybody like I'd hear about douchebags apparently up time to time.
Like Tommy DeVito?
No, if you're on West Virginia, I would have heard about it.
I don't know if you want to. We are not a Tommy DeVito slander podcast. Keep that in mind.
No, we're definitely not.
No.
No, we'll get our
No.
fucking kneecaps broken if we're Tommy DeVito fucking.
Oh,
You wind up on
oh,
you wind up with plastic on the
dare
floor.
you?
But no. So I think fair expectations to legitimately where I kind of said it before. Think Colin Johnson and the impact that you were hoping he would have and what he showed in preseason, but with an athletic upside to it, where he didn't have an athletic upside to his game, where he was who he was. This guy can be developed. I think he could be that type of guy, but continue to be developed by we have a really good coaching staff and see what they can do with this guy.
Gotcha. So according to Monty, Bryce Ford Wheaton is the next Megatron.
DK
Let's
Metcalf.
go.
Book it.
Andre Johnson will make that.
Clip it. This is where it is. So, all right, let's think about overall. Let's do an overall draft grade. Smooth, we'll start with you. What's your overall, initial gut reaction draft grade? And I know you can't grade these out for a few years.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm gonna go B+ because I think it's a really solid draft. I think they got that great value. I go short of giving them an A or an A- because, just because I don't know everybody. Not for any other reason. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna grade on the top 3 picks,
yeah,
that's an A+ in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know every one of those picks. I know I watched those guys play big time college football, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a fucking draft guru and tell you that those are diamonds in the rough. And that's the way I feel.
all right,
fair enough.
Monty.
I'm gonna go an A, and I'll go it based off of kind of what Smooth said there. With I think the first 3 picks are A+. As far as the next 3 picks, I'm kind of taking a similar approach, but a different approach to Smooth. Where Eric Gray was a guy I liked. The other guys I can't say I knew much about, but I like the process that they used with it. I like that they picked guys with athletic upside, and I will stand behind that process. And ultimately, I'll stand behind the guys that they took because they know more than me. And, if that's who they think are going to be good, then really I'm just going to go off on the guys that I actually had a ton of time to look into. And I'm going to go in there and say A because I'm very happy with the guys I do now.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, I agree. I'm gonna solid A-. Again, I don't watch a ton of Old Dominion football. I might have to start watching Old Dominion next season. Who knows? Because I can't watch the fucking Georgia Bulldogs anymore because they're all Eagles now.
Ugh, gross. I don't even want to talk about it.
Ringo.
We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. I made it an hour. We're talking about the Eagles once. We're not going to talk about it. So, what's up next? Rookie
what's up
minicamp
next for
starts
me?
This weekend. Bedtime. I'm trying to wrap it up.
No, you know what's up next for me? I'm
What's
seeing
that?
out of the corner of my eye my wife holding our baby going, wrap that shit up. So,
I'm trying. So we got rookie minicamp coming up this weekend. Guys are already starting to report. Super fun. We're all going to geek out about seeing guys running around in those weird Minecraft helmets and jersey
Wheaton
numbers
Warriors
that they probably won't have come the start of the season. Hell, I'm here for it. I'm excited. It's a good time.
Tommy
to be a Giants
DeVito
fan.
ripping cigs and ripping passes.
I'm
hyped.
Tommy DeVito.
I'm excited
Tommy
to take
DeVito to
the
Bryce
highlights
Ford
coming
Wheaton.
out of it.
Tommy DeVito to Bryce Ford Wheaton. We're calling.
It'll be beautiful.
That's what I'm looking for all day.
Beautiful fourth quarter preseason touchdown.
Fourth quarter preseason, third. Is this for real, James Carty? Is this like a real thing, or is that
I know.
advice?
I know, James.
You're telling us, bro.
Man, genetics.
Bro, yeah. Hey, just be patient, dude. It'll come. Puberty happens for everybody. And we're all in different stages in our life. I don't know what to tell you, James.
I'll say I'm not a beard oil guy. I just rock.
You're
it.
not?
No, never used it. Well, I have. But
How do you
not
keep it?
really.
How do you keep it not dry? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It just kind of rolls. It's pretty good.
you're naturally moisturized, huh?
Yeah, naturally moisturized. So
I like
it's all
it.
that beer keeps me hydrated.
Naturally,
And-
yeah.
Sarge, do you have any comment on no beard oil?
I have
beard
a
oil?
ton of product because it's.
Me too.
I live in Colorado and it's dry as shit out here.
You say he's good with the beard. He's scraggly. So that's Sarge's advice right there. How to handle.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is important, right? It can be huge, but if you start looking scraggly, you gotta chop it. You gotta cut.
Yeah,
it
bro.
down.
Like, listen, I
Dude,
don't have to tell
I
you that
literally, and we're
this is
gonna move
this
the
is-
camera.
This is
for
no
this.
different.
I just cut 2 inches off the bottom.
Yeah,
Right. We went.
I love how
clean.
is James serious though? Like, is he like for real? Like, are we getting trolled? Because listen,
That's his-
we no, but I'd say like it's huge, but it looks scraggly. Like that's no different than if you have a big dick, you don't know how to use it. Like, who cares? like okay, awesome, dude. Like, figure it out. Like, you know, like you trim it. Like, it's not hard. No pun intended.
You gotta clip it like a bonsai tree. You just take
Yeah.
a couple
Bonsai
couple
tree it. Go
sticks
to a
and
barber.
and then stand back, take a look. Yeah, get you a barber. That's what you
Go to a
want.
barber.
You
Maybe
need a
have your
barber.
girlfriend do it. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I had to figure out how to trim this shit myself because I never got it right when like I went to the at least I didn't go to the barber enough and I had to figure out how to do it myself. That's when I started kind of really coming in.
You need a better barber.
you need a
I
better
mean,
barber. Like,
I have a good barber now, but when I lived in West Virginia, I didn't have a good barber.
not surprising.
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
Nothing
rookie
good comes out of
minicamp.
West Virginia except for
Dex-
wide receivers.
Dexter Lawrence is back. NFL draft, fucking A draft.
And we'll be back next week, kids. We've
I'll
all
be
got
sorry.
shit to do. We'll see you next week.
Bye, kids.
So for Monty and Smooth, we got shit to do.
Remember.